Hey, what is going on, guys? Project Flux has recently made a poll in their Discord where you can vote whether you'd like to see Season 3 or Season 4 come next. And at the time of this recording, there's been about 1,800 votes cast, and Season 4 is leading the vote by more than 300 votes. So at this point, I feel pretty confident to say that Season 4 more than likely will win the vote. So today's video, we're going to talk about what you need to know as we look forward to playing Season 4 on Project Flux. I'm going to play some EZFN Season 4 gameplay in the background. As we'll talk about a little bit later, they're not identical, but it should play fairly similar so you can get an idea of what it will look like. We're going to look at 5 key topics today. The first one is the general info like the build, what kind of features we can expect. We'll then talk about the building and editing speed. We'll then look at the busted weapons that are going to exist. We'll then talk about the meta diversity and overall how the meta looks as a whole in terms of weapons. And then finally, we'll talk about how much mobility there is. So let's start out with the general information first. First off, you're probably going to be asking, when is this coming out? I hear it's planned for next weekend. Now, just keep in mind, take that with a grain of salt. It's possible that things will get delayed. You know, they've delayed things in the past. That's very possible, but that's the planned timeline. Second thing, what build will it be on? Sounds like it's going to be version 4.5. If you search for 4.5 in the Discord, you can see the Flux management saying 4.5. That makes sense. It's the last version that Era ran in 2023 for Season 4. As well as it should allow for the possibility of the rocket event. So, maybe you haven't seen that event before, you might get to see it in Project Flux. Third thing is it should have the battle pass available and the challenges should mostly be working. So, if you want to grind to unlock things, that should be totally possible. And 4, it sounds like mobile support will be coming. So, great, more platform support, awesome. I would like to note that any cosmetic items you've gathered, that should not be reset. Your account should stay the same. However, do note that when you go back to Season 4, if you, say, want to use some item that got released in Season 6, for instance, you can't use it in Season 4. You'll have to wait for Flux to get back to Season 6 or later again, and then you can use that item. So your items may be temporarily disabled, but hopefully in a later season, you should be able to use them again. Let's move on to topic number 2, which is the building/editing speed. So by late Season 4, the build speed has been buffed to 20 builds a second, which is how it is still in pretty much every future version of the game, barring some minor exceptions. What this means is that you can place a build piece every 0.05 seconds, which is much faster than early Season 4, where you could only place one every 0.15 seconds. That's a very noticeable difference, and it means that building is significantly faster than it was in earlier versions of the game. However, it's still not quite as fast as in late Chapter 1 or Chapter 2, for instance, as a lot of modern features haven't been added into the game yet, which slows it down a bit. I'd overall say it's going to be a medium build/editing speed. You can definitely do high ground retakes, box fight, those kind of things, but you can also still base build. You can still, build one by ones, and that still kind of works because it's still not incredibly fast. So I think this is going to be an interesting situation where it's in between the two metas, where you can do more modern strategies, you can also do some OG strategies. Both will kind of coexist. And depending on your playstyle, you can really make either work. So I think that'll be really interesting to play with, as in Season 8, everything's much faster. Things like base building are pretty much obsolete by that point. Okay, let's move on to the 3 busted weapons that we have to talk about. The drum gun, the tactical SMG, and the silenced SMG. Let's start out with the most busted of the 3, which is the drum gun. The drum gun is arguably the most powerful weapon to have ever existed in this game. It does 243 DPS, 50 round magazine. Its accuracy isn't great, but it's not that bad at this time. It still does 2/3 damage at long range. This thing can effectively be your shotgun. You can use it as an SMG. You can use it as a structure destroyer, even an AR in some circumstances. This thing's incredibly broken. It's pretty much a mandatory carry, and you can legitimately play this game just running around with 3 drum guns and nothing else, and that's totally fine. This thing's going to be incredibly broken, so just be aware of that. Pretty much if you find it, you're going to want to run the drum gun. Tactical SMG, also extremely powerful. If you look at the EZFN Season 4 version, it's definitely strong but not broken. It's got maximum 234 DPS for the purple. That gets buffed to 260 in Season 4. And crucially, it now does 20 damage instead of 18, which means it takes 1 less shot to eliminate someone from 100 and 200 health as well. This thing is extremely broken. It's the highest DPS gun in Season 4. It will delete you at close range. At medium range, it's not great. It no longer has first shot accuracy in late Season 4. It's not really too good of an AR, but it's still incredibly good at close range, and legitimately, it's totally viable to run 2 TAC SMGs and AR. That's reasonable. This thing's going to be very strong. I don't think it's going to be an outright mandatory carry, but definitely one you should strongly consider running. Finally, the Silence SMG. Compared to EZFN Season 4, it should be a bit more accurate, and it also, critically, will do 2 more damage for each rarity, so you get up to 216 DPS at most. That's actually not amazing at close range relative to the drum gun at 243 or the attack SMG at 260, but this thing is incredibly good as an AR, okay? Because it's very accurate, the damage fall-off is not that bad, it has first shot accuracy, and what that means is that this thing is arguably better than the Scar. Scar will do a little more damage, so it might be a little bit better at long range, but this thing will be better at closer ranges because it's got a higher DPS. Both are viable, and this thing can kind of be a perfect AR SMG hybrid, and it can generally do both roles pretty well. This thing I don't think is a mandatory carry, but I do think you should strongly consider it, as it is a very competitive option in late Season 4. Okay, now let's get to the overall meta diversity. So as we've already talked about, SMGs get massively buffed and are very strong. Shotguns, however, get nerfed. The pump shotgun goes from 90-95 to 80-85, loses headshot multiplier, and does less wall damage. Pump shotgun is still a good weapon, but it's no longer extremely good. It's just a solid option. Tac shotgun gets a headshot multiplier nerf and a structure damage nerf. Heavy shotgun gets a minor structure damage nerf only. What this means is I think the heavy shotgun is overall the best option. The pump and tac are still good. I think they're about even, but not exceptionally good. Double shotguns is still viable and in fact very strong, as it still does good burst damage with a quick fire rate with multi-shotgun. But because SMGs have gotten so much stronger, I would overall say both options are viable. Double shotgun, shotgun plus SMG, or double SMG. I would say SMGs in this version carry the edge for most people. If you're really good at the game, you might find more success with shotguns, but if you're average or you're new to the game, you might find more success with SMGs because they're extremely strong. I think it's a really wide open meta. You can run, honestly, 24 combinations now. All the variants of double shotgun, you can run shotgun plus any of the SMGs, you can run double SMG, you can do combos like drum gun, tac SMG. That's a combo you can run. There's so many options, and while I think some weapons are busted, as we've talked about, I think it's going to be a really open meta where there's a lot of freedom of choice, which I really enjoy, because no matter how you like to play, no matter what your favorite weapon is within reason, you can run that combo, which I think is super awesome. Finally, let's talk about mobility. It's going to be much slower than the existing Season 8, but a bit faster than EZFN Season 4. You'll have the hop rocks, launch pads, and impulse grenades that you have in EZFN Season 4. You'll also get the bouncers and the shopping carts, though, which will give you a minor boost to mobility. It's still, I would say, probably a low-medium mobility meta, so still pretty slow. What that means is that you're less likely to get third-partied, but you'll have more downtime between fights, so not really better or worse. It's just up to you to decide whether you like a slow game or a fast game, but that's just kind of where it's at. So overall, to conclude now, I'm really excited for Flux Season 4. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It'll play a bit different than ECFN Season 4. Very free and open meta. A little bit slower pace in Season 8. I think it'll be a ton of fun. I think no matter how you like to play with a little bit slower building, you can do some OG strats. You can run primarily shotguns, primarily SMGs. You can go, you can box fight. You can do a lot of things. And I think it's going to be a really fun meta to play. And I'm excited to see how it goes. So with that, I hope this video was informative, and I'll catch you in the next one.